Hey there, friends and enemies. JoPaWrites here again, and Bungie just dropped a brand new Strand trailer for Lightfall, and I can't wait. I'm so excited to get hands on. So let's check this out together and see what new goodies they got for us, because Strand is less than a week away, and it looks sick. I'm a Titan main, but I might be running a lot of Warlock.
I'm most excited for Strand. That's going to be super epic, just to introduce a new damage type.
What's cool about Strand is it can take so many forms.
The first time players see some new super action for Strand is going to be really exciting.
I can't wait.
Strand is this network of metaphysical connection. Objects, people, past, present, future. We call it the weave. Anytime a guardian needs to use Strand, revealing all the strands around them, reaching in, weaving weapons.
Yeah, it's gonna be so
Each
great.
of the supers kind of reflect that idea, weaving into needles, weaving it into a giant rope dart, weaving it into claws, revealing it as these green strands in the world.
I like that finisher.
Green was definitely like something that we were excited about because it stood apart from other damage types. It kind of gave it like its own visual language. World strands are the things that are like more organic, flowing. It almost looks like a curtain of strands that flicker in and out of reality. The idea of like the strings, like the strands lighting up the world.
looks sick.
I think that was when everything kind of started to come together, and like that starts to then influence what's the design, what is the VFX going to look like, what does audio sound like for it.
We really wanted to visually show that there's some sort of order in the universe or some sort of chaos. But when players take it in, they're weaving these weapons of destruction.
When developing Strand, we wanted the emotional fantasy to be based on ropes and strings, and the mechanical fantasy to be rapid movement, creating objects out of these strands.
Those
When
hands
you are
are
in
sick.
each of your super
like it a lot.
states, you have these strand elements that are on you that are connected from above. Things that you create are constantly revealing this world of strands around you.
It looks great visually, I think.
Threaded Spike, the hunter's melee ability, will bounce between enemies until it can't find anymore, and then it will come back to me. If I press the melee button again, as it comes back to me, I will catch it, and that gives me melee energy for the next time I want to use it.
Oh,
As a
that's
VFX
great.
artist, we came up with this idea of when it goes out, let's put a bunch of additional communication on it to make it look more dangerous. And when it comes back, we don't add that stuff, and it's simpler, and then it feels less dangerous. And then that's when we know that we did it right, when you're not even questioning it. But getting to that point is definitely a challenge. And each one of the Strand abilities, I feel like, have these little twists in there.
I love that.
It's so important that you can tell what it is at a moment's notice.
And then as we go through the process, there's revisions and refining it based off of play tests.
Sometimes there are small visual changes. Sometimes it's like overall big differences. And I think a good example is the Titan Super.
We had this really cool swipe attack that was severing enemies, but it was hard to chase those enemies down. We need a long-range attack for the Titan that is going to enable us to get close with the melee attack and attack them. And Suspend was a natural choice for that.
Yeah, I think
One
that
really
looks a
cool
lot
thing we're
better than
introducing with Strand
some
is the
people are
ability
saying.
to suspend combatants. Combatants are lifted up into the air, they're suspended in these strand webs.
Their limbs are now like connected to these invisible strands, and they are vulnerable. Then you can then start to set up combos on top of that, or even just, I need to take a breath moment.
That really gives you and then your fire team members an opportunity to kind of set up 1-2 punch kind of combos. Sometimes you can use it more as utility and provide support for your team, and so I think that's going to create like a lot of opportunities where Strand's going to be valuable no matter what. I think it was really that moment where everything kind of like clicked, and we're like, everyone on the team was like, oh, I get what Strand is now.
Yeah, that looks great.
A big part of Strand, looking at the concept art that we tried to clue into, was the idea of cosmic webs. What do cosmic webs sound like?
Anything that kind of evoked this feeling of tension and pulling,
I love this behind the scenes so
things
much.
like recording as rubbing on plastics, leather gloves.
We would string out a big sheet of plastic wrap and running our fingers along it in really weird performative ways.
we actually start taking these sounds and combining them together and creating new things that are starting to sound a little bit more like something that could be put into the game.
That's just kind of the fun part of the sound design process that really brings everything together.
I love that so much. That's so wild how they come up with these sounds.
Some wacky things have happened as we've developed Strands, interactions we didn't necessarily anticipate. When you pick up a tangle and you throw it, you can grapple to that tangle, and you're sailing through the air after this tangle, which can then hit an enemy, blow them up, and then you just swoop in and follow up.
Designers will find these bugs that will come back and be like, oh, actually, you can do this. And you're like, let's double down on that, you know? Let's make that bug a feature.
Yeah, that's great, actually.
One of the coolest things about the way that we work at Bungie is we will take someone's awesome idea, and through playtesting, through iteration, we can keep tweaking it and make the idea better.
And then as we start to add the animation support, the VFX support, the audio support, that's when it really starts to come to life.
That's wild.
All of that goes into making Strand this
Stun the Champion
new
with that
damage
too.
type.
You can imagine how
Keep that
it could
in mind.
work on paper, but then when we actually have the final result, wow, this is gonna be something special.
And feels like nothing else I've ever played before.
As players experiment and figure out all the weird things they can do, they're gonna get even more excited.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh yeah, this is cool. Like
You're like,
this is it.
Once it goes live, then it's like, all right, let's see where players take it, and that's actually really exciting.
Yeah, sick. So, this here, when it stunned the champion. So it looks like the tangle will actually be the part that stuns the champion. That's massive. So now we know that. We also know that, like, slowing and freezing with stasis is also going to affect champions as well. So that's something to keep in mind as you're doing builds and everything like that. But overall, I just love the behind the scenes that we get. I love when they go into kind of detail on how they come up with certain concepts, the sounds, the visuals, or all that kind of good stuff. It looks sick. I like the way they have really made it look like the strands are coming from above and below, and the enemy is dangling. So I'll be interested to get my hands on. And the melee, again, for the Titan melee, knowing that I have multiple swipes and each one of them is going to debuff the enemy. We've got the hand signs for the Warlock. We've got the Hunter with the Ricochet melee. There's just a lot of really dope stuff that it looks like is going to be a ton of fun to get hands on once Lightfall does drop next week. And I cannot wait. I am so excited to finally get hands on with the new expansion. I've been kind of itching for this moment, and I'm really waiting to see what is going to happen once we do get hands on. And yeah, I'm really stoked. Let me know in the comments down below which subclass, which class you're going to be rocking once Lightfall drops. Are you Hunter main, Warlock, Titan? I'm a Titan main. I'm going to be putting a lot of heavy hours in on that Warlock, it looks like, as well. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys on which class you're going to be focusing on. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're going to have loads of Lightfall content going forward. Stay tuned for all that. My name is JoPa. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.